Good morning, everyone. This is Dory back with another episode of Dory's Helpful Hints. Today, I wanted to discuss MSG. Many scientists say there's nothing wrong with MSG, although in large amounts it may affect some people. And then there are people like me who can't eat MSG. I actually watched a YouTube video about somebody talking about MSG and saying that most people who think they're allergic to MSG or sensitive to MSG are not. They expect to have a reaction, and so they have a reaction. But it's not really an allergy, it's all mental. Having been through this and being told that I had psychological problems because of my reaction to MSG, I want to address this specifically. It took me 3 years to figure out that I was allergic to MSG. I had never been allergic to MSG before in my life. And after my third pregnancy, I started having these spells. And when I say spells, I mean my muscles would contract and shake, my heart would pound. I literally felt like I was dying. And my husband believed that these were psychological in nature because we could not pinpoint what the issue was. And as I said in my last video, MSG is in absolutely everything. If you buy potato chips that are flavored, so it's in drinks. It's actually a bonding compound in some medications now, which I found out the hard way because I take thyroid medication. And they changed the formula, and all of a sudden I couldn't take it anymore. It can't be considered psychological when you're allergic to something you don't know you're allergic to, and it never occurred to me that it was the MSG in these foods that was causing an issue. I discovered that it was MSG because I had Chinese food for dinner and had one of my spells. And I had Chinese food for lunch the next day and had one of my spells. So I ate the leftovers that night to see if I had a reaction. And I once again had one of my spells. That was my aha moment. And I recognized what my issue was and what was causing the problem. Even then, my family members didn't believe me. And so in an effort to show myself that, okay, they're right, it is psychological, I ate half a bag of barbecued potato chips over the course of hours. And when I finally hit the threshold that threw me into a reaction, the reaction was like none I had ever had before. I mean, my muscles were contracting so bad and I was shaking so bad. I got my husband on the phone, and because I was scared, I was thinking this isn't going to stop. And it came in waves, and it lasted a couple of hours. And by the time the episode subsided, all the muscles in my body were pulled because they were contracting that hard. That was it for me. That's when it was definitive. It was MSG. So what is MSG? MSG, monosodium glutamate. Now, glutamic acid occurs naturally in foods, but monosodium glutamate is a chemical derived from glutamic acid. It is not something that occurs in nature, otherwise it couldn't be patented and sold to the public. So they have to change it so that they can patent it and sell it to you as a flavor enhancer. And right now, it's in everything. It's in canned soups. It's a bonding compound in medication. They were actually putting it in fertilizers now and spraying it on plants. So they use it for everything. It is highly reactive in some individuals. Some individuals, not so much. My argument would be that we don't need to use MSG in everything. For those of you who aren't aware, MSG is actually what they use when they want to study obesity in mice. Now, they're not studying what MSG does to mice because they already know. There's an MSG protocol where they will feed MSG to mice to make them fat so they can study obesity in mice. Scientists know that if you need to make a mouse fat, that's how you do it. We have an obesity crisis in the United States. MSG is in everything. So explain to me why, when our scientists know that MSG creates obesity in mice, why they wouldn't then kind of extrapolate that and recognize that maybe they need to back that up and not put it in absolutely everything. At this point in my life, I don't eat things that I don't cook myself. Not only do I react to MSG, I react to xanthan gum. MSG, for those of you who are sensitive to MSG, MSG is not just listed as monosodium glutamate on a label. So do a search for foods that contain MSG or what MSG can be called. Because a food company doesn't have to put MSG on a label. They can put, because MSG, when you chemically create ingredients for food, MSG is a byproduct. So if it's a byproduct of what you had to go through to make it, like maltodextrin, a byproduct of creating maltodextrin is MSG. They put maltodextrin on the label. They don't put MSG. So it's in there, but they don't have to tell you it's in there. Also, if they make it part of another ingredient, if the other ingredient is not more than 30% MSG, they don't have to list MSG on the label. So we are being inundated with products that have MSG in some form or other and may not even be labeled as having it. So for people like me, and I'm highly sensitive, it doesn't take much to throw me over the edge. And the reactions that I have are really scary. The MSG reaction caused a PTSD response between me and food. And I'll get into this in later videos, but I ended up curbing my diet to such an extent because in my mind, like I said, it took me 3 years to figure this out. In my mind, food attacked me. So eating food became scary because it wasn't one particular food. It took me 3 years of eating different things, and I would eat and I would feel like I was going to die. And I was convinced I was going to die. Shortness of breath, heart palpitations, chills, shivers, and my muscles contracting. I was convinced that I was dying. And it took 3 years to figure out what that was. And now that I know what it is and I don't eat those foods anymore, it's only if it slips into my diet somehow that I wasn't aware of. The last time it happened, they put it in meat, raw meat that you cook. So if I don't buy natural meat, I have an issue. And Walmart's meat, and I don't know if they've gone back and taken it out now, but if it says it's enhanced with any kind of solution, usually that includes broth. Broth includes bouillon. Bouillon includes MSG. So their pork chops never had MSG. So I wasn't reading labels anymore. I bought it one night for my family. We had dinner. All of a sudden, 15 minutes later, I'm in an MSG reaction. I knew there was nothing else in there that I ate that could have MSG in it, so I pulled the package out and read it. And it was now enhanced with a 10% solution that included broth. So it's really difficult. You've got to be vigilant, and just because you can eat something one day doesn't mean you can eat it the next. And it caused me PTSD around food to the point where I had curtailed my diet so much that I was eating very little, and I ended up with iron deficiencies and vitamin D deficiencies. So I understand how something like a food sensitivity can take over your life. And it's not just MSG. But if you have any questions or comments, I encourage you to do your own research about the MSG protocol in mice to make a mouse fat. And if you're struggling with weight, maybe you want to take a look at just eliminating that from your diet. And you might find that there's a world of difference. And if you have other issues with other food sensitivities, I will be addressing those at a later date. But this is one step that you can make proactively, potentially even if you're not sensitive to it, to help yourself feel better. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to see the ones I have coming up next, hit like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thanks. Have a great week.